Research is over, baby. I'm right here, and I got it.
The American Dream, the only show that combats negative media, not owned by a network, commercial-free, unscripted.
I got it.
These are stories for you and by you.
Silicon Valley and Palo Alto. This is where it all started with the founding of Hewlett-Packard in the garage that's still located in a historic site over on Addison Avenue in Professorville. Innovation, entrepreneurialism, and venture capital. That's what really sums it up. But for every company that was successful, there are more than 1,000 that you've never heard of. They might have had great technology, they might have had great people, but they just weren't lucky enough. With all the affluence and living in an area that has, unfortunately, the highest income disparity in the country, this is a place where there still are people who, through no fault of their own, need a helping hand. Today, we'll be speaking with my friend, Lisa Van Dusen, who's the Executive Director of Palo Alto Community Fund, an organization that I know well, having been a board member for 9 years.
Palo Alto Community Fund gives assurance to its donors that their funds are used with efficiency and with the greatest impact by vetting other local nonprofit organizations. To date, it has donated in excess of $8.5 million to over 250 local nonprofit organizations.
So Lisa, thanks for joining me today. We worked together during my last tenure or term at Palo Alto Community Fund. But as I've gotten to know you, there seems to be kind of a central theme to what you've always been involved in, which is really around community. So share with us about some of your experiences, and then let's talk about Palo Alto Community Fund.
So I have been fortunate to live here in Palo Alto for a number of decades now. Through that, I really got to know a lot of the people in the community who were not just the city council, but just sort of who the community leaders were in so many different aspects of life here. Ended up starting Palo Alto Online, and it turns out we were the first newspaper in the country to have all our contents, in the world actually, online, back in beginning of '94. So all of these things kind of combined community, technology, community building really, technology, and a different engagement with community, not one of unidirectional, but where there's engagement. Now at the Palo Alto Community Fund feels like just the perfect combination of all those ingredients.
We're here in my home that I designed with my wife and dear friend Carl Hess of Square 3 Design Studios and his partner Tom Karuba and their team. When we first bought this property, it was a teardown that we couldn't afford to rebuild. So we spruced up the modest house and lived in it until we could. That was our entree into an amazing neighborhood in which we wanted to raise our kids, a 5-minute walk from where I grew up and where my dad still lives. We made that modest little house a place to call home, and at the time that we bought it, I always had plans to build it, but we didn't have the money to do so at the time. 5.5 years later, that's when we began the actual construction of this project. Embracing the modern design, we really also wanted to make sure that it had warmth and uniqueness, and so natural light with clear story windows and the floating staircase, which is one of my favorites, and to me really is a piece of art in and of itself. I'm proud to say that every one of us on the team had significant impact in the ultimate design, and sometimes we disagreed, but I will say, as a guy who's been married for 22 years now, that there were things that my wife pushed for that I'm really happy about that really helped open up the space here, in the living room. We decided not to have a sink in this oversized island that works really well for us because we felt that it would cut off that space. Everybody gets the bug when they're building. What appliances do you want? What tiles do you want? What floors do you want? What windows do you want? That's all great stuff. But when you get the bug, do the best you can to stay within your budget. So again, understanding what your must-haves are and what are your wants, and where are the creative juices in the synergy of the team and that ensemble coming together to take you to places that hopefully you never imagined.